to a very special episode of the Southern Hang podcast. This week we have a first for our podcast. You know, we normally introduce ourselves as four knuckleheads talking family, sports, music, whatever pops into our head. But this week it's four knuckleheads and a scholar, a Western PA legend, as I've come to find out, a poet, a musician, and to be fair to our guest, a musician with far more than just one song. That's right. With our first guest, everyone, I'm honored to introduce to you Mr. Coltt Winter Lepley. Coltt, how you doing, my man?
Good. Hey, thank you guys so much for having me. And hey, it's good to be the fifth knucklehead tonight. I don't mind that. So thank you.
Well, I tell you what, man, we had a ball talking on our last episode about the tune. I know that, you know, I've come to learn that you've got quite the catalog, but we were introduced to you, at least I was, through that first song that you put out onto streaming. And so why don't we start with that? Like, what, tell us about, that song, the Bandito, and what led you to finally kind of crossing the bridge into putting some stuff on streaming.
Yeah, like I said in the Twitter comment, I've been touring a lot of years, and I'd always kind of hoped that eventually somebody would come to something where streaming would be a little different, and it never happened. So maybe we could solve that problem someday, this podcast. But it's finally time to bite the bullet and get something down on streaming. The Bandito is a song I've been singing for, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago. I wrote it, I think. And I know on the podcast you guys said, are there banditos in PA? And there really are not, as far as, the traditional cowboy trope goes. We had a lot of highwaymen here, though, and I love history. I'm a big scholar of American history, and that's just kind of where that came from.
Yeah, that's awesome. I spent time on your website and playing around with the map, and I travel quite a bit. So I was curious of where Bedford, PA was. So I see you're just north of West Virginia and Maryland, and lots of history in that area. So that was cool. It looks like, and going through your music, it sounds like you reflect on that a bunch. A bunch of history is built in, and it sounds like the property y'all live on is, been there for a long time. That's grown up around some cool parts. It sounds like.
Yeah, we had
we
had the Whiskey Rebellion happen here, which a lot of people don't know a whole lot about. You guys probably do, being from Kentucky. A lot of folks that were involved in the Whiskey Rebellion didn't want to pay the taxes here in the Commonwealth, and they moved to Kentucky. And I don't want to start any beef, but some of those Kentucky bourbon recipes are Pennsylvania recipes. So back through.
Oh,
all right. That's sweet. That is sweet.
Them's fighting words. I don't know.
It's not really a beef. If it's facts, it's not really a beef, right?
This is true.
Yeah. I'm just happy to be a guest. I don't want to get into it too soon.
We haven't had the bourbon episode yet, but that is definitely coming at some point. And we do all have or have spent time with bourbon. I know I've got a decent little collection here. So heck yeah, no, I'm ready for breaking news. If you want to start something, we'll back you if you come into Kentucky.
Perfect. Yeah.
Are you a bourbon guy? Do you have a favorite flavor?
Oh, sure. Wet's good. I'm sitting next to my bourbon cart here. I like all the standard stuff. Shout out some Pennsylvania stuff. We just had a distillery start here called Espy House. I always say when I travel, if you've never heard of Bedford, Pennsylvania, George Washington went to the bathroom here once, and that's our tourism. And the house he stayed in is called the Espy House, and they just started a whiskey line. But there's a lot of good distilleries here, a lot of white whiskey distilleries here. And, if you guys ever come through, it's a cool spot.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Have to add it to the list.
No, I've got some builds. I got some builds coming up down the road in PA. So I just finished one in Ephrata, Pennsylvania.
Ephrata, yeah.
So that was cool. Yeah, that was cool country, and enjoyed all the Amish and the countryside out there. So yeah, that was cool. I was looking you up and trying to figure out, and then Hagerstown. I've spent quite a bit of little time in Hagerstown, and so looks like I'm not too far away from you.
No, we actually used to.
So, yeah, cool country,
we used
man.
to race sprint cars, and Hagerstown was one of the tracks. And yeah, man, that's pretty all in the wheelhouse up here. But that's cool. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, that's a segue. I've got that listed as one of my questions. So yeah, I see that you're a race car driver or were a race car driver. So what was that all about? What kind of race cars we talking about?
So I started doing the oval dirt go-kart stuff. I don't know how much of a racing scene you guys have down there in Kentucky. I'm just not very well educated on it, but it's just like little offset chassis go-karts, dirt tracks, dirt ovals, not the asphalt stuff. And then we graduated to 305 sprint cars, which are full-size sprint cars, 305 cubic inch engines. And they're a little cheaper, a little more economy class, you know. But Pennsylvania is a really hot spot for sprint cars. It's like sprint cars, West Coast, Indiana have really good scenes. And I was lucky to have really good sponsors for a long time. But when I went back to grad school, it was kind of like pick one or the other, you know, of the two expensive things you want to do.
What age was all that you were doing all that?
I started racing when I was in middle school, and then I raced through undergrad sprint cars for a while. And then, so I went from spending a lot of money on the weekends as a race car driver to making very minimal money on the weekends as a musician. So big change.
Right. Well, we're going to work on that.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, why don't we talk about your new album? So I saw, maybe I read somewhere that there's some connection to Charles Wesley Godwin, maybe using his backing band or something like that. So you want to kind of talk through that and tell us what to expect with the new tunes.
Sure. So I've always toured as a solo act, except Kevin Kutz. I'm a fiddle player. He's a legend around here. You know, people jumping in and out, but when it came time to do the album, I had always imagined a lot of these songs, like the Bandito, as full band sound, you know? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm near Pittsburgh. I'm about 2 hours from there. And Al Torrance is Charles' lead guitar player. And he's got a studio called Music Garden Studios, little north of Pittsburgh, about 20 minutes. And reached out to him through a mutual connection. And he was really excited. He liked the songs and showed them to the band. And the guys wanted to jump on board. I was really humbled and excited to have them come on. But it's Al doing all the lead guitar, all the guitar parts except for the rhythm. That's me. And Joe on the drums, Nate on the bass, and Amico on all the steel and banjo parts. And I had my friends Justin Long and Alan Jetto on it as well, and they're local Pittsburgh musicians. Everything from the bottom up on this is Western Pennsylvania musicians, including those guys. The Allegheny High is their band, and they're all from right around the Pittsburgh area. And those guys, I don't know if you guys have ever been to a show, Charles, but they're high energy, they're killer, they sound just like a record, you know, very top-notch professional, and they're humble. They don't talk. This is my first studio album, you know. None of those guys talked down or acted like I was any different than anybody, and that meant a lot to me, you know. I'm just a regular guy, and I hope I retain that, but I think they have too. You know, they're just good dudes and really good at what they do.
Yeah, he's blowing up too.
Yeah.
So I mean, his stuff, even that new EP he just put out, is really good.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I was asking Neil before he got on, because when Neil found you the first time and he's referencing you have three names, and then he actually said Charles Wesley Godwin. I go, did you know that before you referenced Coltt? You know, and he's like, no, complete accident. I'm like, well, that was amazing, because I know who Charles Wesley Godwin is too. So that was awesome. Yeah. Yeah. And so were you playing out and bumped into those team of people and became friends, and that's how y'all hooked up? Or were you, how did y'all become buddies with Allegheny High to be able to be tight enough to?
Yep. So 2 years ago, Keystone Artist Connect was in their early stages of being a new company. And that's my management team now. And they're also based out of Pittsburgh. It's women owned. You know, really cool. It's a cool thing. And I asked Danny, who's kind of the one that works closest with me, if she knew any good studios around Pittsburgh she would feel confident with. And she said, yeah, I think Al's got this studio. And I texted him. It was real casual. And he said, yeah, drop by. And so those guys were all in there cutting something. I don't know what it was. And I didn't ask. It was kind of like, keep it, And there's a number of other folks in there. Reed Connolly had just left, who's the steel player for Zach Bryan. They're all friends, And it was just a really cool thing. They all we sat and talked Western Pennsylvania folk music history. We have a really expansive folk music catalog, and I gave them stickers, and they put it on their cases, and it was just a good experience. And the whole thing took about 1.5 years. The whole process from meeting to wrapping up. We only did 6 songs for this first album, and but I feel good about it. The guys were cool, and they took me in right away, and been nothing but positive reviews so far. So I'm excited to get the rest of it out. We're gonna do a single a month until July 11th, and then the whole thing will come out. So
awesome, that's cool. And did you tap into your back catalog for this, or did you write some new stuff?
I think the newest song on this record is 3 years old. I have 7 studio albums with tracks ready to go. I just need the funding to make them.
Oh.
There you go.
We pop off, that the truck payment's not getting any cheaper, so I gotta,
Yeah, hell yeah.
So now I'm understanding when we went on and looked for your tour and we found that you were playing for 2 hours, and I kept thinking the one song. Now it's making sense, Coltt.
Yeah, it is.
Now it's making sense.
Well, I'll tell you, we've got kind of I like to say, a cult following around Western PA. I play everywhere. I played out in Wyoming. I played Nashville, up to Maine. Just did the Texas run. And so we've built little pockets of weirdos around the country. And I think it's been a good thing. Every time I go somewhere, people come back out. It's cool to see people again. And I just think you just be kind and personable with people, and mostly you play good songs, hopefully, and they want to come back out. But yeah, you guys,
heck yeah,
I'm
man.
excited for you to hear it.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
great. So how's that work? Like, being someone like trying to build a career. It sounds like you've been at it for a while, and working hard and putting it. I'm sure you've been playing good music the whole time. I mean, what's it like paying your dues like that and finally getting to a point where you're ready to put out something to the world?
Well, I'll tell you, I always try and tell younger people getting into it. I think the best thing you can do is go cut your teeth in rough bars, and go learn how crowds interact and how hecklers work and stuff like that. Because you gotta be quick on stage. And I've been really stoked about the people who've come out to shows and really enjoyed the music for all the years. And part of me is kind of not wanted to put out streaming because I'm very content with the life I live, and I'm happy. But yeah. I kind of knew like the songs were good, and once the streaming got out there, it would be a whole new can of worms. And but what's been nice about this level is 1 week I can play Americana Fest in Nashville, which is kind of the mecca where everybody goes, and then the next week you go play next to the popcorn maker in an Italian restaurant for 3 hours, so it's just kind of the duality is hilarious. We have a documentary coming out here in a couple months with American Melody. They followed me around for 3 days, kind of a brewery show, and then kind of just hung around, and hopefully it kind of digs into that contrast a little bit.
That's awesome. I'm sure Sherman's going to have some questions about that.
Yeah, there you go.
We'll come back to the doc. So on the album, can you tell us? You said you got a single a week coming out, and then you're going to drop. Can you tell us what's coming, or do we have to keep it a secret?
Breaking news. Can we reveal when the first song's coming out right now? Are we breaking news?
I'm not. I didn't read too much of the legal stuff. Well, I'll tell you this. I think I've mentioned it other places. I don't know how big of a secret it is, but I think the next one coming out is going to be Crack Cocaine, I think, which probably you guys I think it's still up. Yes, I got a big hat on in the music video. I look like a clown, but it's fine. That was early. That was the early years. But you're going to hear it just as it was in that. I wanted to keep that one kind of real personable. It's on my '66 Gibson LG1. It's a little wonky. It never really stays in tune, but I really wanted to kind of keep that magic, and that song has meant a lot to me. I always say when I play it, even in Texas last week, I say, "Yeah, boys, this is a medley of my hit," you know. But yeah,
well, I'm glad you. So I've got that written down as a question. So that song hurts, man. That's a deep song. It's a beautiful melody. But is that real? Was that is that your friend that did
Yep.
that comes
so,
from?
I've had 2 cousins overdose on fentanyl. One passed away, and I wrote that song the morning one of my good friends got picked up on crack cocaine charges, and it's kind of an amalgamation of his story, my cousin's stories. Then I had 2 kids that I graduated with who have also passed away from overdoses, and I just kind of meshed them all together. And it's just you're scrolling Facebook and you see your buddy's mugshot. It's just kind of one of them things. But yeah, I always tell people before the song, I'll do a funny one after this, but this one's going to be serious. And check on your friends, because everybody. I know Kentucky is just like as bad as PA. Everybody knows somebody that's going through that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, 100%.
Well, it's a beautiful song.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. No, that's good stuff. And then I dug. I spent time on Toilet Wizard, which I thought was awesome. That was a fun. Is your dad actually
yes,
a plumber?
He is. So that one might be on the album, but
okay.
Yeah, I think it's okay. I think it's okay to talk about it. It's going to be on there.
Well, I assume we can talk. I mean, maybe you don't need to talk about the album, but it was on your website, so I assume that was public.
Yeah.
Songs that we can discuss.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell us. Maybe just like a little ear tug or a little nose twitch or something, if that's going to be on the album.
You guys have the exclusive. It'll be on the album. That'll be on. But it's been kind of funny. So how that one came to be, my dad is a plumber. He's been a sole proprietorship, Lepley's Plumbing and Heating, for 40 years, and which has been great. It's been great. And so I wrote my mom a song on Mother's Day. It was real pretty. It's called Hero of Mine. It talks about like blackbirds migrating south, sitting on telephone. It's real pretty, So Dad said, "Hey man, why don't you write me a song?" And it kind of made me mad. And I was like, "Yeah, buddy, I'll write you one." And that's how Toilet Wizard came to be. And I don't think he liked it much at first, but now he when they're close, they come out to shows and he sits in the back and he play Toilet Wizard. So it worked out.
Yeah, proud papa,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
No, I thought that was awesome. I watched your video. I love you sitting on the toilet, and then I'm a electrician by trade. I do construction now for a living for Texas Roadhouse, but electrician by trade. So I'm doing deep dive, trying to zoom in on your logo, and I can tell you're wearing some form of plumbing on your video. So I'm like, I wonder if that's just Pops' stuff. And so I was looking on the video at all of it, and then I think there's another song video, maybe you're wearing like a plumbing hoodie on it or something like that, and so I thought, well, that's badass.
So one of his part suppliers is Aquaflow. I don't know if you deal with them at all. That's more the plumbing side, but they get they give out a lot of free merch, So it was always go to the thrift store. Or we got a new Aquaflow hoodie for the day, and now I'm really excited. I got a new hoodie, so. Yeah, that's just how that. This is Gold's Pumps. This is one of his companies as well. But
sweet. Yeah, counter days at the shop is always good when they got the free food and the giving away the cheap swag. Hell yeah, I love a counter.
And they'll wear forever.
So,
well, that's awesome. Yep. Yeah.
Coltt, this may be a bit of a rookie question, and if so, I apologize. But you reference crack cocaine and Toilet Wizard, right? Drawing from real life experiences. How does that process work for you? Like, do you hear a melody in your head, or do you do the lyrics and then figure out the accompaniment to follow, or what is that process for you?
So I think that, first and foremost, anybody listening out there, I don't think there's any right or wrong way to do a song. I know for me, I think for me, I'll probably hear a turn of a phrase, or I'll see like a scene that's like crazy, just anything that moves me right away, I think. But I have to act on it. I have to get it down. I almost have to make time for it in that moment to really make some lines, And but it's got to be intriguing. It's got to be interesting. I don't listen to, and no cut to you guys if you do. But I'm not real big on the big truck country music stuff. And we've heard that song 1,000 times. And how many songs about plumbers are there in the world? Probably a couple, but.
Handful.
Yeah.
Handful. So with that being said, and I know you said you got a lot of the catalog here ready to go. Do you have just scrapbooks upon scrapbooks, right? So as you're traveling and touring, hey, this could be an idea for a song. Let me jot down a few ideas, and either you expand upon it at the time or you circle back later.
Yeah, I think I actually just had to buy more iPhone storage because my notes app. It's been kind of nice. We don't have to have the big books anymore. You just fill up your Gmail until it bugs you to buy more storage. And my voice memo app is just full of little turns of phrases or we were at Arlen Studios on Friday, which is Willie Nelson's family studio. It's where we played Friday. And there was a fortune teller. I don't know what I can talk about here with anything, but there was a fortune teller pulling the tarot cards of two of the guys that were doing legal edibles, hill country edibles. And I was like, you got to write that down, That's just an intriguing thing. So that'll be something eventually.
No, you found the whole right group here, buddy. You're hitting on all of it. So music and all the above. You are all on it. So yeah, you're.
If you guys ever come to shows, totally
absolutely.
unrelated, I take tips in all shapes and sizes. So
there you go.
Noted.
Awesome.
Well, Coltt, you talked a little bit about being in Western Pennsylvania and a small town, and there was one song, "Doves and Pine Boxes," that it hit me just going through your catalog. And again, we've just found, just learned about you, so we're all jumping in trying to grab everything we can. But talk a little bit about that song and kind of where that came from, and what maybe even where that began. Back to Brian's point, where was the genesis of that?
So that was one of those songs that had came to me in pieces, right? You guys watched the Wallflower Wanderer video, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I had the choruses down. And I had two of the verses written the morning they came to film, and I wanted to bring them something new. And one of those verses is a Robert Johnson reference, kind of Devil at the Crossroads situation. And then the choruses follow the traditional folk music tradition of the mother, father, lover trope, which is noted in songs like, The Hangman, or, there's a lot of folk songs. Leadbelly does a lot of these. And so I always like to pay homage to the folk roots of what country music is now. And so I had all that written. And then Dan called from Wallflower Wanderer and said they were coming up to film. And I had some other songs in mind, but I thought, man, I've been sitting on this one for like a year and a half. So I was still living at home, and Mom was in the kitchen meandering around, cooking probably. And I finished the bridge and that last verse with the high voice part, and so we went and recorded it that night in an old abandoned mansion that's getting fixed up now in town. And Dan was like, "When did you write this?" And I said, "Well, I wrote a portion of this about a year ago, and then about 3 hours before you got here, I finished it." And he always likes to tell that story, but yeah, it's a good one. People seem to like that one as well.
That's awesome.
It's a jam.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, you mentioned some of your references or some of your influences. I saw on your site you were talking about Townes Van Zandt, John Prine, Guy Clark. I mean, those are right up our wheelhouse for sure.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you a quick story.
Yeah. So what?
So Austin, never been to Texas. Dusty, very hot. Cool spot though. And
yeah, congratulations on South by Southwest. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
We had an Airbnb, and I don't know if you guys got to see those pictures or not. I traveled down with Tyler James Kelly and Kristen and Danny, and they're both with management. And we had a driveway like this, and the RV is long. And I'd like to say I didn't think it would go, but not my rig. I don't own it. So I thought, well, it's going to be a good story at least, you know. So it got beached. That's a sidebar. That's a sidebar to this story, is that about 10 minutes south of the Airbnb is Blaze Foley's grave. So I made time with Michelle Moonshine went along with me. If you guys ever heard of her, she's pretty cool. She's out of Salt Lake. And we went to Blaze's grave. And then I rented the world's smallest Mitsubishi on the drive home, which was hilarious. But I spent an extra hour and a half to go up to Fort Worth and see Towns' grave. And it's crazy to see how Fort Worth's urban sprawl has kind of enveloped that graveyard. There's like a gate guy, and I was like, hey, man, I'm trying to see a grave. He's like, get out of here, dude, you know. But, yeah, Towns, all that is to say, Towns is probably the top of the top. John Prine, too. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Heartworn Highways. It's free on YouTube now. It's a great music doc, and it has like Steve Earle, David Allan Coe, Charlie Daniels, Towns, Guy, a lot of those guys from that scene. And I unironically have called that the Bible when I do my cover sets, because I do a lot of those covers, you know. But I think you got to recognize where the bar is, and don't have any expectations, but just know where it's at. And you gotta know what good writing is to do it yourself, I think, you know.
Oh, absolutely. Prine's a poet, and we're in Kentucky. I think I'm only 2 hours away from Muhlenberg County. So we've been down there a few times, and I know that area, know all of Prine's, you know, all of his playlists. So
now his son's doing music.
Yeah. He just played in Lexington not too long ago. He was at the Burl in Lexington.
Yeah.
I wanted to go to that.
Tommy
show.
actually played a set.
That's a great
he
spot.
played a set at D's when I was down there for Americana Fest last year, and he's got a really cool song about Chris Farley. He's got a great song about Chris Farley, and I'll tell you, I wouldn't want to be John Prine's son and write music, but I think he does.
No, that's a
But he does a great thing on his own, you know, his own fruition. So I think that's a cool.
Yeah, definitely. And I think he kind of hesitated, right? Didn't he? Not want to go into music early because of that, and then found his way. Was that?
I wouldn't want to be a plumber, right? Because my dad does really good, but you know.
Did you get to bump into some cool artists while you're down there in South by Southwest and hang out, and like people that you were like, dude, I had no clue I was going to get to sit in a room with, you know, artist whomever, you know, and get to or shoot the shit with them for a couple minutes?
I'm pretty out of the social media. I mean, I have to do it, you know, but I'm not the greatest at it. Sure. And so Danny had mentioned they were all going to go to Luck, and they ended up getting me a ticket, which was awesome, because those tickets I found out are like $600-$700 a piece. And so we get to this dirt patch, and it's Willie Nelson's ranch is where it's held. And you start kind of walking around and looking at some of the artists walking by. I actually saw Eliza Thorne. She's upcoming. We've always known each other from social media. I opened for Palmyra last year, and I got to talk to them. They were there. But I also got to see Taj Mahal perform, which was amazing.
Oh, man.
Lucinda Williams had Steve Earle backing her up on harmonica. You know, Margot Price came out and played Joy with her. And then obviously, you know, seeing Willie's a religious experience. And I'd like to think I have a lot of the traditional masculine values in the world, but I teared up during Angel Flying Too Close to the Ground. And then he did one with his two sons. And it was like, I don't care. You know, this is amazing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Redheaded Stranger is one of the greatest albums of all time, and then that Angels Flying is just amazing. I've gotten lucky twice in my life. I've gotten to meet Willie, so I've gotten to. Now it wasn't like I was hanging out with him. He came off, I shook his hand, I got a picture. You know, thank you, got to see him, and then I stood on the side of the stage at the Palace here in Louisville for one of his shows, and my family has some long distance ties, but and then we have a Willie's Corner in Texas Roadhouse, and we have a table, and so I was able to get two tables and then meet what's his road manager? What's the gentleman that runs the bus? Yeah, and so I got to meet him. I got to meet him and took two tables to him, and he knew I was coming, and I hooked up with him and gave him two of our tables from Texas Roadhouse that have all the Willie stuff on top of it. So it was pretty awesome. It was a
Well,
cool
let me just tell you personally, thanks, because bringing a Texas Roadhouse within 30 minutes of my hometown was a game changer. So thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if you can see my mural over my head here. That's Willie in a truck driving a bunch of bourbon barrels that came out of one of the old roadhouses that we relocated. Yeah. So yeah, I've got some cool Willie
that's
stuff.
Pretty neat.
Yeah. And I'm told my first concert in my life was Willie at what's the old Houston, Texas bar, Gillies. Okay. I went to Gillies. I was three, and my mom still has the concert poster of that day, and I was three, so I don't really remember the show very much. But she tells me that was my first show that we went to.
What's that?
That my first.
What's that fake ID look like?
Oh, I know. Yeah, family show.
That's like shooting big.
You've heard
him out. You're ruined for the rest of your life, you know.
Oh yeah. But she's raised me on good music, man. So I've been around, and John Prine was playing in the background my whole life, and Willie, and you name it, it was playing in our house. So yeah, man. And she's a musician also. So if you come through Kentucky, and you let one of us know, or you hook up with Neil and tell us you're coming through. Mom's a bluegrass player, plays stand-up bass, and she's at her regular Thursday night picking party tonight while we're talking. So, and she runs with everybody in the bluegrass world. She's knows everybody in bluegrass. So she hangs out with Michael Cleveland all the time, and they run around and goes to shows with him. And so, yeah, it's pretty cool. I get to go hang out with some very cool musicians. I don't play. I have a guitar to my right, and I have a stand-up bass about 12 feet away, but both of them are decor, and I keep telling myself I'm going to learn. But so far, it's just the thing that I stare at and wish I would have learned,
I'll tell you what, better. If you learn that upright bass, you're going to have work 7 nights a week, because they're, hard to come by.
I was going to say, is that few and far between, being able to have that in the band?
Around me. I'm sure. I know. Yeah. You guys are very lucky. You have a lot of really cool. We have a great music scene here. I think there's a lot of really good bluegrass pickers here as well. But it's not Kentucky. So.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, if you come into town, Redmond Reference Shack in the back, maybe a barbecue, maybe a mile away is my mom's good buddy, and every Thursday night they have a jam, and it's amazing bluegrass pickers every Thursday night. So
how many people
you having a time through? Oh, it'll go from 4 to 15, and then on whatever night, and then if they're gearing it up, they can get it up to pretty big numbers. But there's about average 7 on a regular Thursday night playing.
That's awesome.
In my buddy's garage in Fairdale, Kentucky. It's a great little hole in the wall, man. He's got a cool spot.
Well, if I can steal a couch and a shower, I'm in.
Oh, buddy, we got you. We got you covered, buddy.
To make that happen.
I think Todd Snyder tells a story about a couch. Maybe we'll get your story about a couch.
I love Todd Snyder, man. It's as long as there's minimal mites and bugs, I'm happy with it. So.
Minimal. Is there an acceptable level?
Free couch.
It was almost expected, not even minimal. It was just it almost sounded like it was expected.
Hey, anything but the Hiltons, that's for other people. But.
Yeah.
Well, I tried to spend a little time today. It looks like on your website you had, and I assume once more of the music comes out, you'll have a deeper schedule that's probably getting released to you touring. At the moment, all I could see was March, but the boys and I do basically where this all came from is we do a yearly baseball road trip, go see a new field, and so this past year we went to Detroit, and on the ride up, I'm like, hey, I really enjoy our ride up and just talking for 4 hours about whatever knucklehead stuff pops in our head. So today I was like, this year's trip, we ought to go find Coltt and tie it in with a baseball game. Like, let's go. And so I tried to spend some time today trying to find out where you were playing and seeing if we can come catch you. But definitely want to see you in action, man.
Well, that's on me.
Yeah. Do we have more knowledge on when the?
Yeah, I have shows scheduled.
Yeah. Do we have more knowledge on when that's all coming out?
Yeah, I got shows booked the whole way through December. It's just the way, I try to do like a month out. I have some ticketed shows coming up. I have the album released July 11th in Pittsburgh. And then I have a really cool show at Pine Grove Hall, which is State College. That's where Penn State is. So I have some cool ticketed shows coming up. I have some stuff some details that aren't released yet on some of those that will be released shortly. But I also, hopefully with the release and things, we get a little bit more ticketed stuff. I'm going to do a New England run here soon too. So just me. I run my own social media right now, and I do my own website.
Well, I'm glad you do. That's how we were able to connect this.
That's right. That's right. You need to schedule that New England run in the fall time, man, and get the changing colors there in the trees.
Well, I'll tell you, I lived in Boston for 3 years, and I love New England. I love everything about it except the price of groceries. So other than that, it's a beautiful place.
They are proud. You did not pick up an accent, by the way, when you lived in Boston.
Well, everybody makes fun of me for the one I have here. We kind of live in a weird place. We have like Pittsburghese. We're nowhere near Philly. We don't associate with the eastern side of the state really too much, but they have the Delco accent, But a lot of people around here, because I think it's because we are so close to West Virginia and Maryland, and Baltimore has a weird thing too. I wrote a paper on that in grad school about how the amalgamation of accents has kind of made us mutts right here, But yeah.
Yeah. Well, you
Cotton,
sound like
that's
us.
another big word to add to your vocab, buddy.
I had amalgamation. Thank you. I am learning, but I had that one. So appreciate you. I'm the blue collar guy of the group, and so they're always trying to educate me with my electrician background in construction world that I live in, and then I live in the blue collar end of town. So I'm the maybe not as deep vocabulary as some of these other boys that I'm.
Just words, man.
Yeah,
Just
don't let
words.
them fool you.
Yeah. Coltt, man, you mentioned the documentary. I'm going to bring it back to that. I have a film company. We've got a documentary out, so where I'm interested in all of this. How'd you get involved in this? Did they reach out to you? How did it come about? And tell us a little bit about it.
So, Dan, who is with Wallflower Wanderer, we've worked together a number of times, and so he has an extended project now with himself and two other individuals, Matt and Cameron, and they started American Melodies, and it's going to be a little bit longer form, deeper dives into individual musicians. They only have one episode out right now. It's with Virginia Maslin, who's more central Pennsylvania artist, and she's incredible, and they do a really good job of, doing deep dive into our background, and not too deep, not too deep, but enough that we can share with the family, And,
keep it on the up and up.
It's gonna be all PG-13, I guess, but no, it was really cool. They, like I said, they hung out with me. We did a lot of filming, and I'm in my apartment. We did a lot here. Did a lot at my family's house. They followed me to a show out near Harrisburg, and just kind of, we're flies on the wall for the most part. There's a little interview section, but I think it's just a neat thing, and I think it'll be good to coincide with the releases and some other exciting things we have coming up. So, yeah.
And where can we watch
It's
it?
It's just going to be YouTube. It's a YouTube channel. If you guys want to check out Virginia's episode, it's already up there. American Melodies. And they're going to do some promo and stuff. You'll start seeing some pushes on like TikTok and all the spots. So.
Perfect.
Yeah. That sounds cool.
Does Southern Hang have a TikTok yet?
Hey,
Well,
you
yeah, I
like
saw
that?
some.
Well, you're talking to the guy who is in charge of the social media, who, like you, doesn't do social media that well. So yes, we have one. We're really on Facebook, Instagram, and X, Twitter. But we have a TikTok. We need to get that updated.
Sorry.
So
I
I'll take blame and credit for both.
I don't have to do a Sunday dance or something, do I? I mean, I can't.
That was pretty good.
All that stuff. So you're asking the wrong guy, you know. Yeah.
I'll just edit what you just did and put it in a TikTok. We'll be fine.
That's
appreciate
right.
that.
can't wait to see that.
Yeah.
Hey, Coltt, I got to ask real quick. Obviously, you're playing music on the road, right? It sounds like certainly something that you love, but being a published poet and author, is there a specific medium that you like or enjoy the most?
I think I come to my songwriting from a very lyrical standpoint and storytelling standpoint. When I was at Emerson College, I did creative fiction, right? And I tried to focus that around Appalachian characters and stories. And you know how it is. I mean, you guys are from Kentucky. I think a lot of people dunk on people from our areas. And what I tried to do was give write those characters with dignity and give them a place where you can read about them and their hardships, but not so much. You're not dunking on anybody. You know, there's no down to those people, and I think that's important. I don't know. I think they all come from different parts of the brain. I think when I write poetry or fiction or songs, they all feel a little different. I think I have 4 novel ideas in the chamber too. The publishing world's just as slimy as the music world is, and it's just different. So I think music is what's, keeping me fed and keeping a roof over me right now. I'm very lucky to do that. I'm very thankful. But I always hope that, one success will inform the other. And so hopefully down the line, if we can get, 6 or 7 of these albums out and I scratch that itch, then I can, go do some novels. And, I have, hundreds of poems. I have a song coming out eventually. It'll be on the 3rd album called An Occurrence at Dunning's Creek Bridge, which kind of plays off the Ambrose short story from the Civil War. But there's a line in it that says, I always ask people at live shows I said, show of hands, how many people here are authors or poets? And it's always people, and they kind of give you like the half non-committal. And I said, yeah, I wouldn't raise my hand either. And then the next line is, nobody ever reads anybody's poems unless you're dead or on the way out, so hopefully we get those numbers up and I can cash in on it all someday.
That's right.
Well, Coltt, I mean, we've taken quite a bit of your time here. I think it was probably getting to a point where we should wrap this up. But I got to tell you, I'm glad we, just out of nowhere, I decided to talk about your song on the podcast, and it led to a heck of a conversation. And it all started because I absolutely love that song. And then when we dove in, I love even more, more of what you got coming. So we're really excited to see the fact. When I said that we're getting in on the ground floor, I was thinking maybe first album, but the fact that you got 6 or 7 more in the hopper, man, that's really exciting.
Hey, first of all, let me just say once more, thank you guys so much for having me. Absolute pleasure and a great opportunity. And, hey, hopefully this will be the first of many interactions with you guys. So I really look forward to that. But sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry.
Well, no, I shouldn't have stepped on it for sure. But I tell you this, you're going to see us at a show. We're going to make that happen. Whether it's this summer, this fall, whatever it may be, we're going to come and we'll let you know when we're coming, and maybe we'll spend some time together at that show, man. We're really excited about hearing more what you got to offer. Yeah, I'll make sure
it's not the Italian restaurant.
Try out some of that Pennsylvania bourbon.
Yeah, hey, I got a cart.
You say make sure it's not the Italian restaurant.
I got a cart stocked for you guys. I'll make sure it's not the Italian restaurant where I'm playing next to a popcorn popper or anything. And Or maybe I will. Maybe that'll be the one I bring you.
The story just sounds wonderful.
That's
Hell
right.
yeah.
Hey, yeah, no, don't put it past us, man.
We might stay for a couple days, Colt. You never know, buddy. We might hit the Italian restaurant, Penn State. We might hit them all.
I got a futon and an air mat with a hole in it. So let me know.
And then I'm a new owner of a 38-foot trailer. I'll load them all up and we'll do a road tour. We'll come up there and park in the driveway or in the
That's fine.
Front lawn. Hey, you had a quote on your webpage I saw today, and I read it and I was like, dude, that's us. And you said, I was born to tell stories and go into the world to bullshit with people about my scribblings, and if we can all manage to a laugh or a nod about something together, I prefer folks as delusional as me. And I was like, dude, that's us. Like,
that's good.
Every bit of what he just said, I was like, that's us, 4 knuckleheads. And I was just excited we get to talk music with an amazing artist. Man, this was badass.
Thank you guys so much.
So cool.
I had that highlighted too.
Yeah.
I was going. I stepped.
I think there's a lag. It's probably me. I'm working on that rural Wi-Fi.
No, but I had that.
Worries. But no, I just think that
all good.
The only thing I can do as an artist is, like I said, we've heard the song about the trucks 100 times, and I like trucks. Don't get me wrong, but if you can make people laugh or cry and flip that on a dime, I'm doing everything I can do. And I don't care if I am playing next to a popcorn maker or I'm playing on a stage or Americana Fest or wherever have you. I think people at the end of all the art recognize authenticity, and good stories always prevail. And I think good people always prevail. And I just come out to a show, and I always tell people, if you come out and you don't have a good time, then that it ain't for you anyway. But it's just been really cool to see like big burly dudes break down and and then stick around after a show for 45 minutes and tell me a story about their family, or that's kind of the real meat and potatoes of it.
And buy some merch, right? I know that's a big part of it too, right? Well,
yeah,
it helps.
Yeah. All right. Well, Cotton, you want to take us home?
No, I don't know that you could have finished up this episode any better than what Coltt just said. Coltt with the silent second T. I don't know that you could have wrapped it up any better than what you said, man. This was incredible. I am so jacked about this episode and just getting to meet you. And we're like you said, we're coming your way, or if you come this way, it's barbecue, a couch, and we'll take you around to some people here that can pick around this area and introduce.
The pleasure's all mine
too. So
thank you guys again so much for the opportunity. It was wonderful meeting all you guys, and I don't want to keep you too much longer. I know Pappy's got to take his teeth out here, so you let me know.
The toilet wizard. Well, tell him, being that Mom got the first song, he get more nod in the podcast. So maybe that'll make Dad feel a little more at ease. Thanks, Coltt. We appreciate you, man. We'll see you soon, buddy.